Good morning. Before we get started today, I'm going to have a moment with your moms, but while I talk to your moms, I'd like you to go ahead and get your Bibles out and open them to Daniel, that's in the Old Testament, chapter 3. Hi, moms. From your Lesson 7 packet today, we're going to need the 2 paper lunch sacks, the puppet faces, like this, and crayons or markers, a glue stick, and scissors. Okay? Thank you, moms. Okay, kids, you ready to get into our Bible adventure for today? Before we get into our Bibles, I have a couple of questions for you. 1, I want you to stand up if you've ever felt like not getting up for school. Now sit down if you went anyway. Okay, now I'd like you to stand up if you've ever felt like not coming to church. Okay, now I'd like you to sit down if you came anyway. Sometimes we choose to do things even when we don't feel like it. And when you choose to do the right thing, no matter how you feel, you honor God. Today we're learning that we worship God no matter what. Whether it rains or shines, whether we're tired or sad, in good times and in bad, the right thing to do is to persevere and do what's right. God gives us hope and helps us to do the right thing even when it's hard. Now, the Bible's filled with stories of men and women who chose to worship God no matter what. And for some people, the choice even meant death. Can you think of some people in the Bible who worshiped God no matter what? Let's see. I think right away of Daniel, Abraham, Isaiah, Paul, and Esther. But there's lots more. Now, Moses obeyed God, and he took the Israelites out of Egypt, even though it meant losing his entire Egyptian family and fortune. Esther asked the king to save her people, even though she knew he might get mad and kill her. Jesus' disciples told others about him, even though they were made fun of, rejected, and faced death. They all worshiped God no matter what. That takes faith. If we ask God, He will help us to be brave and strong so we can do all that God has planned for us to do. So, okay, now let's go to our Bibles, all right? So today we're learning that we can worship God no matter what. The Bible adventure that we're learning today is the awesome story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Do you recognize those names? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold idol, and they continued to worship God. Now, this made the king so angry that he ordered them to be thrown into a fiery furnace. So let's see what they said when the king told them to worship the idol or be thrown into the fire. So if you're in your Bibles, we're in Daniel chapter 3, and we're going to go down to the small number 16, and we're going to read through verse 18, okay? All right, so I'm going to begin and you can follow along with me. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king. They said, Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves to you. You can throw us into the blazing furnace. The God we serve is able to save us from the furnace and your power. If he does, this is good. But even if God does not save us, we want you, our king, to know this. We will not serve your gods. We will not worship the gold statue you have set up. Now, there's an important point in that section for us to remember. God can save us, but even if he doesn't, we will not worship your idol. They were determined to worship God no matter what. This made the king so furious that he ordered the furnace to be made 7 times hotter than normal. It was so hot that the king's servants were severely burned and died instantly as they threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire. When the king looked into the furnace, he saw 4 men walking around in the fire, untied and unharmed. The Bible doesn't say who that 4th person was, but it was probably an angel, or maybe even Jesus. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were pulled from the fire, there wasn't a burn mark on them or their clothes. They didn't even smell of smoke. No sign of fire at all. Then something else amazing happened. The king knew that their God was the one true God, and sometimes the way we handle hard things in our lives helps other people to believe in God. So what can we learn from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Well, we should always choose to worship or honor God no matter what. Now, what do we learn about God from this story? He deserves our worship. He's more powerful than the hottest furnace. Now, what are some situations where you might have to choose to worship God no matter what happens? Well, maybe when kids make fun of you. Maybe when you're at a friend's house watching movies or playing video games, you might have to stand up for what's right. Maybe the game or the movie they want to watch isn't something that you know you should be watching, not something that honors God. Okay, so now it's time for us to use our imaginations. You ready? All right, let's get out our puppet faces. That's these sheets right here. There's a girl and a boy. Okay, and we're going to make two puppets. One puppet is going to be you. So for me, I'm going to choose the girl puppet first because I'm a girl. If you're a boy, you can choose the boy puppet. Okay, and the other puppet is going to be maybe someone who's trying to get you to do something that you know doesn't honor God, or maybe that you know is wrong. They might be a friend who maybe wants you to go with them and doing fun activities on Sundays when you know that you need to be in church. Or it might be a friend who maybe wants you to lie to your parents. Okay, so we're going to work on those puppets right now. When we're finished doing the puppets, you can use the puppets to act out the ideas that we've already talked about or make up some new ideas of your own. You might make up a situation that won't happen until you're much older. Okay, like maybe being a missionary in a foreign country that doesn't like Christians. Okay, so let's color these. When we're done coloring them, we're going to cut them out and glue them to our paper bags, okay? So you can use markers or crayons. I'm personally going to use crayons, but you can use whatever you would like to color yours. So I'm going to start coloring my girl puppet because I'm a girl. And I'm going to use my apricot crayon for my skin. So I'm just going to start coloring it. And I'm just going to color a little bit of mine with you. And then you guys can do these and finish them when you're done listening to the video. But I'm just going to color a little bit of my girl here just to get you started. Okay? All right, here we go. So I'm going to color her face and maybe her hair. And then I'm going to move on to cutting these out. So if I get ahead of you and you're not done, you can go ahead and pause the video and finish your puppet and then start the video again to finish it up. Okay? All right, so like I said, I'm just going to color the face and maybe the hair on mine. What colors are you using on your puppet? I'd love to see your puppets on Wednesday when you come to Friends Club. Do you guys come to Friends Club? Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. We get together and we talk about our Sunday lesson and we do a craft or interesting project to help us remember what we learned. So let's see, what color hair should I have? I think that I am going to, well, I don't have any brown. That's really funny. So I don't have any brown, so I'm going to do black hair. Okay? All right, here I go. All right. What color is your hair? You can remember you're supposed to make your puppet look like you. So whatever color your hair is the color you should color your puppet's hair. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to finish the hair on mine, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out just so you guys can see what you're supposed to do, okay? All right, let me see. Now remember, if you need to pause the video while you finish coloring, you can do that, okay? All right. Okay, so I am almost done with the hair on my puppet. Okay, and how are you guys doing? You coming along okay? Like I said, you can pause. No big deal. Okay, so I did just the face and the hair on mine, but I'm going to go ahead and go on and show you how to cut these out and glue them on your bags, okay? So here we go. Ready? All right, so I'm going to cut out my puppet, and you'll see that the puppet face is in 2 pieces, okay? You are supposed to cut these lines right here, okay? So you're going to cut right, I'm going to start right in the middle right there, and then I'm going to show you what I did, okay? So I'm going to start by cutting right across the middle here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut out the rest of the top of my puppet. So what kind of situations do you think you might run into when you're older? Well, maybe when you get to be a teenager, maybe some of your friends might want you to try drugs, or maybe join a gang. They might want you to maybe skip school and go do something you know you're not supposed to be doing when you're at school. They might want you just to tell your parents a little lie about where you're going to be going, or movies you're going to watch, or things like that. Those are all situations that might happen to you. Okay, so here's the top of my puppet. See? I know it looks funny right now, but when it's finished, you're going to understand. Now I'm going to cut out the bottom part of my puppet. Right here. Okay. Here we go. All right, I'm almost done. Okay. Here we go. One last little cut here, and I am done. Okay, so here's the bottom part of my puppet right here. Now, I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to take the bottom part of my puppet first. So this part, okay, and I am going to open the flap on my paper bag. See it? I'm going to open it up, and I am going to glue this right in here. Can you guys see that okay? All right, so that's what I'm going to do. You get my glue going in there, okay? Here we go. All right, so I'm going to glue that right in there. Okay. Okay, so I moved this down a little bit, so I'm going to show you where I glued it. Okay, I glued it right here. Can you guys see? Leave a little bit of space at the top, okay? And then glue it right in here. Then I'm going to take my top piece, and that is going to be glued right here, okay? All right, let me get my glue going, and then I'll show you what my puppet looks like when I'm finished. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to line it up so it matches. All right. So here's what my puppet looks like. Can you guys see it? All right, now, I hope these don't fall off. I'm going to go ahead and open up my paper bag and show you how to use your paper bag puppet. See? All right. So you're going to go ahead and make both the puppets. Remember, one is you, and one is somebody who might be trying to get you to do something that you know doesn't honor God. And I want you to act out some ideas that you might have about situations that might happen to you later on in your life. Okay? All right. So now that we're done with our project, you guys can do that to help you work out things you may need to say to people when they want you to do things that are wrong. And I got a quick reminder for you before we go any further to check with your parents and just see if they've registered you for Rocky Railway. That is coming up in just a week. Okay? All right, we're 1 week out, and I want you to make sure that you get a VBS kit so that you can join us in all the fun we're going to have at VBS this year. Okay? So Meet me right here next week where we're going to learn an incredible Bible adventure about God's protection. See you next week. Bye-bye.